And people ask, they will say, where did you get your material? Well, you just look for it. It happens everywhere. I won't go into the entire ordeal, but that meant Christmas Eve, Christmas, New Year's Eve, New Year's, I'm in the hospital, I had surgery. Later, I had complications, and they finally sent me to rehab. And my husband, of course, and my assistant came every single day. But my new best friend was a little television right up on the wall, because I couldn't put any weight on my foot, and they said, you'll be here 3 months, and it's going to be something else. And it was ball game season. You got all the closing games. You got the Super Bowl coming up, all the bowl games. I watched them all. And then basketball season had started, and I followed every men and women's NCAA game on the television. And then I realized I'm watching replays. This is a Super Bowl from '77. What in the world? Then one night, about 3 in the morning, I thought, let me see what game they're playing. I looked up, and there was no game. Evidently, I had turned the channel during the day. And there was a program on called QVC. I didn't think I ever really watched it. And apparently, in this show, they can convince sane people to buy whatever it is they're selling right at that moment, in every color. And as I sat there, this is where I knew this rehab's gonna be long, because I found myself thinking at 3 in the morning, I've got to have that brown poncho. And when I went into the hospital and then the rehab, I did decide to practice what I preach. I decided that I would make sure every person who came in contact with me, came into my room during that time, would leave happier than when they came in. And I didn't even bother the nurses. Even when I needed them, I wouldn't call them. I didn't. They thought, well, what's she doing in there? I don't know. She doesn't ever call us. But that morning at 3 in the morning, I rang for the nurse. And she came fast because I just never called her. And when she came in, I said, oh, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Look what's on that television right there, that brown poncho. It's a poncho, and they said it can be a pashmina, and we can spread it out and have a picnic. I got to have that right now, but I can't reach my credit cards. They were way over there in my purse. I had a grabber. You know, you could grab your purse off the front row, but I couldn't reach it. It was up under the bed. I needed a grabber to get my grabber. And I said, can you just come around? Please help me. Oh, goodness, they've gone from 174 to 169. Oh, no, they're going to be gone. Get me that credit card out over there. And this kind nurse came around and grabbed my shoulders and said, get a grip. We don't give credit cards to people in the middle of the night on heavy meds. So I shrunk back down, went back to sleep. But I remembered that brown poncho. Because I'm tall, it would cover me all up. I liked it. The next morning, about 3 a.m., I woke up again. And I remember thinking, I dare look. You think there could be another brown poncho up there? You see, you're in there, you start thinking weird things. I've never had a poncho in my life. But I checked with my cell phone and saw what time it was, and I turned to see, and the QVC program wasn't on. Once again, I had apparently just turned the channel and left it. Now there's a program on called Tiny Houses. This is mesmerizing. I'm watching these people who are giving away or selling everything they have to get into a house, maybe 42 square feet. And it has everything. They have a loft where they let the baby sleep, put her up right in a basket and put her up there. I want to see that when the child's 2 years old, but that's all right. And they have a slab table they eat off of, and then they turn it, and they sleep on it, and they turn it back, and they eat off of it again. And they got a closet this big. You couldn't even get a brown poncho into that closet. Unbelievable. People, these are not cheap. I can see buying one and putting it next to some water where you fish. Go down there on the weekends. Or I can see getting one and putting it somewhere else where down at the beach. But living in them, for Pete's sake, all of this time, it would be see, and when I was in Graham, North Carolina, where I grew up, thank you, I was just you. Were you the only person I grew up in Graham, North Carolina. And when I was 13 in the 7th grade, I was already 6 feet 2 inches tall. You should have seen me. Walking down the streets of Graham, 7th grade boys all down around by my ankles. My mother used to say, they'll grow. Trust me, Jeanne, they gonna grow. I went to my high school reunion not long ago, and there they all were. But a lot of their little heads had grown up out of the top of their hair, and I could see it from where I was standing. I'm not 6'2" anymore. I'm shrinking. I've even tried hanging upside down, and it doesn't work, and it upsets the dog. Oh, it upsets the dog. My husband is 6 feet 6 inches tall. Our son, Beaver, is 6 feet 8 inches tall. If Jerry and I had bought a tiny house, Beaver would not be able to visit. Not a bad idea. We would not do well in a tiny house. But I watched it because I was just mesmerized by why would people do this? And then I realized they want to be free. Free of responsibility of home ownership. Free that if your grass grew up, you just get up one morning and move it a few feet. Free from all of the responsibilities because it's got wheels on it. You can just walk away. And then these people buy these tiny houses and they park them in their parents' backyard. I have a piece of advice for you. If you feel the urge to buy a tiny house, first you get the biggest refrigerator freezer on the market and you install it in whatever you're living in right now. And then for the next 7 or 8 days, you play in the box. You will not buy a tiny house.